what you want us to sign, and we'll review it. I said, I felt that we could look at it, and if we saw something egregious, we might contact an expert, we might talk to them about it, but I couldn't see how complicated it would be for us to have a trail in a parking lot and say that's what we're gonna have, and we're gonna maintain it. And anything else we might do, we'll present to them to see if it would violate, you know, the conservation and easement that they use to take care of this stuff. And so, I'm waiting to hear from Jake's office on why we would have to, maybe they can just legislate that out of there, they do that all the time for other things. So, see, I always felt that Clearwater was looking to kind of get that whole area, and then have us all pay them, so they kept their stuff going to a point.
We have nothing now, right? I mean, nothing's even transferred, other than the game.
Right. Well, no, game isn't even transferred.
Right, but nothing's really done out there.
Nothing's transferred. We don't have to pay for the trail until we get the money from whatever source we're gonna source it from. The trail will just be there and run by game until we come in with a plan, and then we have a right-of-way for that trail. We won't own that trail. We'll have a right-of-way, and then we'll maintain it. Once we come up with a solution, I'll be going to COG, and I went to Walker Township to talk to them about how I'm looking for the community to put in. I mean, right now, to do that trail, if we got the DCNR grant, is $120,000. This whole county could put together $120,000 to make that trail active and put it in a parking lot, because the state would pay the rest. And I look at that as a fair equation. We're gonna have people from outside the state that are gonna use it. We have Benner residents that use it. I have people coming from Bellefonte come up to me in stores and thank me. I seen a guy that's lost 30 pounds already, that's been walking it. It's a great asset. We just have to figure out how to take care of it. And the progression was, when Penn State was gonna get it and we were involved with them, they were gonna pay for everything. When everybody got involved from outside Benner and wanted to see it different, that changed the equation. All right, how are we gonna pay for it? So by the state paying 80%, I think they're paying their share, if we get the grants to take care of it, by us as a community, as a county coming together and paying the local share. Then we come up with a way that we maintain it. I can't imagine we'd be throwing that kind of a lot of money at it just to keep up a gravel trail. We're not looking to pave it, we're not looking to make it pretty, we're not looking to put educational things there. If people wanted to do that, they can do that through the groups that are associated with this type of thing and work with us on that. This is gonna be a low-cost thing that's supported by the whole community. In fact, when we get into pool authority, I talked about the canyon being part of that, and Dave Caparella asked me, you know, if we put that in authority, they'd be running it. Can you live with that? And I said, I don't have an issue with it being run by an authority as long as it's controlled by local entity, that it's taken care of, because Harrisburg can forget about you years later, and you don't have a say if you don't own the property. So we're just going to have to progress through it. We're not in a rush to do anything. We're not required to do anything. We'll just take over the land. It's passive recreation. There's nothing in there that requires us to have a trail built in 5 years, and we'll work through it and get help if we don't get the help. But we have different community groups that are interested in making sure that gets taken care of, and maybe they'll come in and get the money. It's not Benner's responsibility to pay for it all. I thought it was our responsibility to protect it, to have a voice for it, but not necessarily pay for it. So we just need to work through that as we go.
But it is, I don't know, troubling, I guess, to think that Clearwater has got some open-ended expectation to build a town.
And I don't know if they're talking about charging $100 a year or whatever, but I wanted to clear it up with Jake before I went in a meeting with them, what this meant.
Right.
And, you know, if Jake felt that was wrong, he could either talk to them, or, you know, if he felt strong enough that, you know, the legislate that the conservation easement wouldn't include monitoring. You know, that's up to him. Because there are two other entities that aren't gonna be monitored.
Mm-hmm.
I felt no pressure to have a conservation easement, because like I said, we're not doing anything down there. So, I'll keep on top of it.
Item 2 under old business is the ROW ordinance that's been tabled in the past.
It's still to be tabled.
Still nothing there. And we can move to Crouch Bridge. I think we were all, we're discussing this, the Crouch Bridge has been, was rendered priority 0, which means that it had 7 days early in January until it was going to be closed. Our crews have done just a great job working in the water the past couple of weeks to underpin it, to fill in the scouring underneath the abutments. That work has been documented, it's been signed off by Don Franzen, the engineer, and forwarded to PennDOT for reaction and subsequent inspection. So, until we hear what their inspection results are gonna be, or are able to meet with them, just to understand next steps.
Right.
I have a copy of that letter that you had drafted, other than one typo here, well, not a typo, but I think it needs to be called something else. I think us making a motion to have this letter ready to go on a moment's notice, if they come to us in between meetings, since we have 30 days between
Right,
meeting.
right.
I think discussing this tonight and having it ready to go, if we need to send it out to them, I've just set up to try to have within the next week and a half, a meeting with PennDOT. It might be in Clearfield, where we sit down with the guys that make the final decisions and tell us what we can and can't do, and put that in writing. They're trying to come up with some dates. I'll make sure that you guys know that if you want to attend. Otherwise, I'll take the lead and make sure I get there on that. And I think, like I said, I don't know if you saw this letter, Randy. The only thing I saw was it's not a steel deck bridge, it's a wood deck bridge, but we could just say steel bridge.
Yeah.
So what I Randy is to tell them that we've done the underpinning, we think that it's adequate, that it addresses the priority 0,
Okay.
and we would like to proceed with a replacement deck that would eventually lead to vacation of the bridge in red.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would move to accept that draft letter and have it ready to go and signed by you, Dave.
All right. Second that?
I'm in a motion, so,
Okay, you second.
okay. Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Good.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I think the guys have done a great job out there in tough circumstances.
Well, on that bridge deal, I mean, I don't know if John heard, but Fourth Township put a temporary permanent bridge, like the bridge guy came down and talked to us about, right over an existing bridge on one of the roads. And they have an incline there that's a lot steeper than what we'd be looking at, and looks great. And that's right over here, if you at the bottom of Port Matilda, where Nittany Building Specialties is. There's like a church and a ball field and stuff there. Just go up there, and it's not very far. And so I mean, they did exactly what that guy said. They didn't remove the deck of the old bridge; just went right over it, and it was one that could be in place in 3 hours. So
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I saw, talking to the bridge guy
Mhm.
that makes those, I don't see an issue. The only issue I see is if we raise on Catherine's side and make his bathtub bigger.
Well-
I'm not an expert on that stuff, and I think we need to be just careful.
Right, well, I
With
understand,
that
but I did
situation.
see one in place, so it was good to see it on a township road that it, and I think it was, Sharon, did you say that the PennDOT accepted it as a permanent structure?
It's supposed to be a temporary permanent, yes.
Right, and that's quite, it's
Can you
like
get
a
us,
lot less.
Sharon, can you get us some information on that we can bring that to the meeting as backup? Or give me a contact that I can talk to,
They were the ones that, PennDOT was the ones that told us
Told
where
us,
it was.
but I actually went up and
They're
went
all
over.
aware of,
Yeah.
Randy Albert's the one that brought it up.
Yeah. I went up and looked at it, it was a little too dark for pictures, but, I mean, that could really solve a lot of grief for us, because there's no footers, there's no anything. It goes
That
right
one
down
will
one.
not, that bridge, the way that it's installed, as I understand it, that would not qualify for the 80/20 reimbursement.
Right.
But you're still only looking at $28,000 for the whole thing, so.
Well, I
mean,
think
that's
that,
what-
I think that bridge though would be a little close for Krauts to use for their equipment though. I
Was
think that-
13 foot, I mean, it was
thought-
12'6".
Right, and I thought their
Theirs is
equipment was.
13 right now. Their
Right.
bridge right now is 13, it was 12'6", and he only needs 12, is what Denny said. So, I mean, you know, but still, I mean, you
That's
know,
3 inches on each side though, that's pretty.
good driver, good driver.
Well, that's pretty close.
So,
Well,
that's just something I wanted to mention, that I did see that in person.
one step at a time, but I agree, talking to PennDOT is the next step. Item 4 under old business is the Walker request for zoning change.
The file was sent on to Tim for him to start drafting things or getting ads and that ready.
Tim talked to me briefly about it. He is out of state this week. I did go out and visit, talk with Mr. Walker briefly on this. He is waiting for a GP, a general permit from DEP. And the circumstances under which they would give him that permit. And he understands that we're working with this with Tim to make sure that we do it right. So,
He gave me some information to give to us
on.
on some language for our zoning whenever we're, just to add to what we had. I thought I wanted to give it to you guys. Sharon can make copies and give it to you. But he gave us like the article it's under and some language that would be help.
So he is asking more for than,
Well,
he is asking now for wording change?
If
Well,
he's asking for wording change, you'll have to
listen,
resubmit.
well, I don't know that he's asking. He sent me this for us to look at because while we're doing zoning stuff, you know, while we have it open, I think it's something we need to look at. It was just some clarification of what was.
These are paragraphs he found in some other zoning document.
This is our zoning docket. And then
Okay.
this was, all he wrote was this would be an additional language if we were to look at it. He just sent it and he showed where it was on our zoning thing. And it's just information at this point.
Take it under advisement, I guess, as we go through. The
Right.
real issue is that the pieces in our I-1 zoning that talk about waste handling, recycling, and transfer are somewhat silent on what he's
Well,
trying
that's
to do
what-
out there.
Well, that's what that letter is right there. It showed you. We don't really address it. We have a paragraph in there, but it doesn't really, it's not very specific.
Well, if you can get us copies of that to take a look at.
Right, well, Sharon can make, I mean, he just
Okay.
shows the paragraph there.
Well, I guess what I'm asking, should we be forwarding this to the planning commission and to Tim? And I thought when he was here last, all we were talking about doing was
Moving the
adjusting
line.
the line, and all the wording was gonna stay the same. If the wording isn't gonna stay the same, then I think there's another process that we have to go through.
There is a whole different process. I thought too, we were just talking about changing the line. So,
I guess we need to know for sure from
He-
Ray what
he'll have to-
he's thinking.
Well, there again.
Are we just changing the line, or,
The issue is, we don't have a meeting till next month, and if he doesn't come in, the process will probably already move ahead.
Okay.
So until he comes in and makes a formal request and comes
Right.
before us, you know,
but
we're stuck moving the
Just
direction
what
we're
you
moving.
want.
Right, well, that's fine. I mean,
But yes, I think we can forward this to the planning for consideration, for discussion.
The only thing I
I
think
just
though is
didn't
we need
wanna
a
s-
formal presentation from
Yes.
him, not just,
Oh, I understand, this is a lot longer process.
just so we're all on the same page?
It's a lot longer.
well, no, I mean,
process
if you send it to the planning commission, I think he needs to show up
To talk about it.
and to talk about it. We don't just send a piece of paper that we don't know much about either, so.
Okay.
I'll have
Do
to,
you know where this came from?
I think his son